What's going on, family? Check 1 2 1 2. We are live. Let me just make sure everything is hooked up. And What's going on, family? Check 1 2 1 2. We are. Yep, that sounds good. All right, let's have some fun today. Everything perfect. All right, 5 4 3 2 1. Yo, what's happening, family? Man, I'm excited. Today I am breaking down how partying in the VIP What's going on, family? Check 1 2 gave me the cheat code to wealth. So let me say that again. Today I am breaking down how partying in the VIP gave me the cheat code to wealth. So this is going to be a fun training, right? So um if you are just now meeting me, right, and you know of me as, Perry, the financial strategist, the profit first guy, profit first professional, the coach, right? All of these things, you may not know the story of P. Jeff 330, the ambassador of nightlife. I know that sounds crazy. When I share this with my daughters, they always look at me sideways, like, oh, whatever, dad, until we're out and about and somebody says, yo, P. Jeff 330, what's popping? Right. And they're like, and I'm like, I've been telling y'all, like, this is a real deal. So before, becoming a parent, if you will, and, no, and if I'm being honest, actually during some of those early parenting years, right? I was out in these streets heavy. And when I say heavy, like, man, I love a good party. Like, I was the dude who was showing up after work, with my suit still on, from being a stockbroker during the day and sweating through my suit. Love to dance, love music, right? And I'm sharing this story with you because, I meditate every morning. And when I meditate every morning, I think about the personal experiences that I've had in the past that have led me down the path that I'm on. I think about the interactions that I have throughout the course of the day. So I find content in everything I do. When I'm having conversations with people at the gym, when I'm in the hot tub talking to folk, like there's so many lessons to be learned. So that's probably your first takeaway from this piece is, are you paying attention to the lessons that are being taught? Because I truly believe that is just God speaking to you and wanting you to pay attention. But are you paying attention? So I was thinking here recently about, people come to me all the time and, hey, Perry, I need you to help me with this and help with that. And I think about my cheat code. How did I get to the point of being a financial strategist? How did I get to the point of being, close to being work optional or being work optional before the age of 50? Like, no, how did I get to the point of being just a kid from Akron, Ohio, right? Stealing that line from LeBron. Like, I'm just a kid, I'm saying, just a kid from Akron, Ohio. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm not even supposed to be having millionaire conversations or $1 million conversations, right? So how did I get here? And I believe that where you are today is the culmination of all of your experiences in the past. Well, one of my, experiences, not one of them, but this time frame of my life was when I was partying, right? And I partied hard, but I didn't party like everyone else. And this is your lesson today. When I party, like, I don't believe in doing, excuse my language, pedestrian shit. I don't believe in that today. I don't believe in waiting in lines if I don't have to. I believe in getting there early. I like just all of these things, right? I believe in getting access to the absolute best experience I can get. So I was thinking about this, right? And I'm like, huh. I started first practicing this when I was going to the clubs early on, right? Because I always paid for VIP access, right? And to get VIP access, you know, to get VIP access, I typically had to buy a bottle, right? So in today's, cash flow class, we're going to talk about how popping bottles, right? Made me rich. So quick story. So big shout out to Bobby Fane and the peoples over at Cove. It's no longer open, but it was one of our favorite spots to go to. So this is how I rolled. I get there. It's a line. I didn't believe in waiting in lines. So I cut to the front of the line. The bouncers knew me, so they typically let me in, right? And then I would go in, the owners would see me, and then they would immediately be like, hey, how many bottles you want to get, P? Because they knew I was going to purchase bottles because with the bottle service, I had access to VIP seating. I didn't have to wait in lines. I didn't have to get a drink. I had dedicated service, right? And so while everybody else is standing outside in the cold and trying to get in and then got to wait in the line to get in and then wait in the line to get a drink, I walked to the front of the line. Whoever was with me walked to the front of the line. We got a bottle or two, went to our VIP seating, and while everybody else is waiting to get there, we were already in a position, right, to start having a good time, to start having a VIP experience. So pause. What is the story about wealth and how do we connect the dots to being financially free? Well, one of my cheat codes in life and in my journey to becoming financially free and financially independent is I started to realize that I wanted to be VIP everywhere. So I started paying to get coaching. I started to pay to get mentorship. I started to pay to get into the room to hear from the people who were making things happen. I didn't want to talk to the people who were standing in line. I want to talk to the people who are already in the room making things shake and happen. So I'm like, huh. So I was having this conversation with some of my buddies at the gym in the hot tub, right? And I shared with them like, hey, the first time I paid $10,000 for 90 days of coaching. And when I paid that $10,000 for 90 days of coaching, that was the equivalent to paying for a VIP. Because what I learned is I cut the line of making mistakes. I cut the line of having to learn it on my own. I went directly to the source, got the information, and what happened from that $10,000 VIP situation, I was able to 500x my, 5.7x my business revenue, right? So I went in and let's make sure we put numbers to numbers, right? When we talk about 500x, if I went in making $10,000 a month, I came out after 90 days making $50,000 a month. That's a 5x. Y'all follow me, right? So I started thinking about this. I was like, huh, the same practice I had of not wanting to wait in line, not wanting to wait to get a drink, not, being uncertain whether or not I was going to have a seat, right, in the club, is the same concept, the same principle I used to get to the point where I could retire my wife at 40, where I own 90% of my time and can go anywhere I want to when I want to go and not have to ask anybody any permission, right? So I'm like, it hit me here recently, like, that's VIP status, right? I paid a premium to cut the line of having to wait. I've paid the premium. I paid for VIP access so I don't have to work to age 65, 70, right? So let me go ahead and continue to tell you some of these stories, right? Because I got some fun stuff, right? So again, I'm going to the club. I'm cutting to the front of the line. I'm getting a couple bottles. I have VIP sitting. I got people looking inside the VIP. Folks didn't know whether or not I was an owner of the business or, of the club, or I was just there kicking it. But they saw that we had a different experience. We party differently. We had room to move. Our ladies had places to sit down. We didn't have to wait in line for drinks. Oh my gosh, can I get a drink? Oh, no. Everything was right there for us. So we were able to have a different experience. We were able to have an elevated experience. We were able to have a VIP experience. So when I took that skill set And and it hit me like, hey, that is the cheat code. The fastest way to become a millionaire is to cut the line and go actually pay to be in a room with millionaires. The fastest way to become financially free is to talk to people who are already financially free, but that comes at a price. Those people who are financially free, those people who are multimillionaires, are not waiting in line. That's not where you're going to find. You need to pay for access to get into the room, getting to the mastermind, getting to the coaching program that these people already are. That is the cheat code, fam. So here's the deal. Let me break this down here for you. Let me give you guys another example, right? Flying first class. So it wasn't here until recently I started flying first class. My wife loves to travel. And we started booking flights and things of that nature. And I was like, you know what? We're going first class. So the first time I experienced first class, I said, hold on. I'm about 6'3", 200 plus pounds. So, sitting in regular seating, my knees hurt. It's an uncomfortable flight. My legs are hanging over on my wife, and, I'm on her side because I'm trying to stretch my knees out. I already have bad knees and ankles from playing, college sports and things of that nature, right? So when I flew first class for the first time, I was at the front of the line. For the first time in my life, I was the first person on the plane. So while everybody else is waiting in line, I cut to the front of the line. I'm the first person in the plane. Not only am I the first person in the plane, while people are still loading, they're asking me, hey, Mr. Jeffries, what would you like to drink? Well, what are you offering me? Are we talking about water? Are we talking about juice? It's kind of no. You know what? Let me get, a 7 and 7. Right? Let me get right. I'm like, hold on. And then on this one particular flight, right? Everybody else is getting peanuts in the back. I actually had a hot breakfast with real eggs. And so I'm like, hold on. I said, hold on. I'm the first on the plane. I'm have all the leg room. Like I can stretch out. My wife can stretch out. We're getting fed real food. We're being treated as VIPs. I told my wife, we'll never not fly first class again. Period. Whatever the ticket is, that's what we pay. Because after I had that experience, I can't go back. Right. So, you got some planes that still don't do, first class, but you know what? We get to business class so I can hustle in, being the first 10 people to get in and get to the exit row where I can stretch out because I deserve to travel in comfort. I work hard. I deserve it. Do you deserve to travel in comfort? So let's equate this to financial freedom. Do you deserve to be financially free? If so, you might have to pay for VIP access to get the experience. And that VIP access is in the form of, are you in the right rooms? In your rooms, are people talking about doing deals just like they're talking about, opening a can of soda, right? If you're not in those rooms, then it's not second nature. This is real talk. I'm helping a client right now navigate navigate becoming a real estate investor, right? They already have a home, they're about to buy a second home, and they're going back and forth like she'll become a real estate investor. And I told them, I said, you're trying to find every reason for this not to work. You're like, they're working hard at this. They're trying to find every reason for this not to work versus getting in the room where people do this every day so that it becomes normal, right? Your sense of normalcy. What is your normal? Guess what going VIP does? Guess what flying first class does? It creates a new normal. Are y'all getting that? Like, until you have experienced it, you don't know that it exists. Until you experience making $100,000 a month, you think making $100,000 a year is a lot of money. Until you experience, cutting the line and having access and having a better experience than everyone else in general admission, you don't know. But when you do, when you finally do get that experience, it's a game changer. It resets your new normal, it resets your expectations, and going back to this flying first class, now we do the things to intentionally be able to get those first class tickets. So when we look at credit cards, we're getting credit cards that give us travel points to apply to our first class tickets, right? So here's the deal, y'all. Have you experienced it? Because after you experience it, then what ends up happening is you have this mindset shift. It's a paradigm shift. You're starting to move from scarcity. Well, I can't afford to go in first class. Or, oh, this is my favorite one. Well, I wouldn't pay to get in VIP. That's because you ain't been in VIP yet. Oh, I wouldn't pay for first class. That's because you haven't been in first class yet. So it's funny, right? My wife now is like, she booked a ticket. She's like, hey, babe, I'll book first class. And guess what, babe? You should, because that is now your new normal. But what happens is, from a mindset shift standpoint, you start doing the things that allow you to stay in that status. And y'all, this isn't just about a flex. Oh, I fly first class. Oh, I go. No, it's a mindset shift. What I'm finding out as more people come through our financial freedom boot camp, as I'm finding out in our millionaire mentorship program, that when you start to have the paradigm shift and you move from I can't afford that or I wouldn't pay for that to saying, oh no, I deserve that. And this is what I'm going to do. And now let me make sure that my finances and my decisions are aligned to allow me to do these things. You start to move different. One reason so many people are struggling with their finances is they've never experienced or been exposed to people who live abundantly. If your entire circle are folks who like, I can't afford that, or I wouldn't pay for that, or I can't afford that, you're probably in the wrong circle, and you're going to continue to think small versus thinking big. Hold on, let me share you guys a couple. I'm going to share a couple more examples here. So we have, these American Express Platinum cards, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. But one of the perks of these cards, which somebody would say, oh, that's too expensive. I believe like the annual fee, I think it's $700 a year, maybe more, maybe less, but let's say $695 a year, I think. Oh, I wouldn't pay for that. Well, there are a lot of perks that come with the card, but one of the perks that we love the most is this Centurion Lounge. So the first time we went to a Centurion Lounge, we were mind blown. Like what? So I was with my family. It wasn't the first time I went. I experienced it by myself. And then I was able to take my wife and my kids to the Centurion Lounge. So we're flying back from, I don't know where we're in Mexico or someplace, and we're flying back, early flight, right? And we get to the airport, right? And we get access to this lounge. Again, cut the line. And we go up, massive space. They have a buffet of some of the best breakfast foods, right? They have a lounge area, a seating area. They have an area that if you want to close, like area for you to lay down. The bathrooms were immaculate. You could take a shower. They had a lotion in there. My hands have never felt the same. This lotion, I came on and told my wife and kids, have y'all used the lotion yet? Go in and use the lotion. My wife went and looked at the lotion, Googled it, found out. I think it was, I'm probably going to exaggerate, but I feel like it was like $150 for like, 16 ounces or something like that, right? So everything was top of the line. And I was able to give that experience to my daughters, right? So you like, well, Perry, w- why is this important? How's this going to help me become financially free? You have to invest for the experience of having access. Y'all hear me on this, right? So here's the deal. My daughters got that experience at very young age. I don't know if they were what, 10, 11, 12, something, what I'm saying, they were young, right? They got an experience that most kids will never get, which now sets their expectations. So then they start asking questions. So, hey, dad, does everybody in here? I said, yeah, everybody in here has this American Express card. Okay, and how much does it cost? It costs this much per year. So everybody, yeah. So immediately it's a mindset shift. They don't go from, oh, I wouldn't pay $700 for my card to no, let me get that card because I like having this experience. I like being able to relax. I like eating good food. I like freedom. A lot of folks will never experience financial freedom because they've never had an experience of what it feels like to be free. And sometimes you have to pay for that experience so that that can become your new normal. So these preteen girls at the time, they're about to be 16 now, had this experience. So now that's the expectation when we travel. Hey, daddy, we going to the lounge? We sure are going to the lounge. One trip, me and my wife, I was booking the flights through the credit card website. And I was like, man, we're gonna have a layover. We can't get around it. But I looked, I said, this is not a bad thing. So I rerouted our flights to only have layovers in airports that had the Centurion Lounge. Oh, did I mention that the bar is completely free? So the top line bourbons, vodkas, tequilas, food, drink, everything free. Well, not necessarily free. You kind of pay for it with the card, right? But access, you pay for the access. And part of that paying for access is all you can eat food, wait staff, full bar, wide open, right? Take a nap, work, take a shower, right? So we was flying from somewhere, vacation, and I was like, all right. So I knew we was gonna have two long layovers. We started early in the morning. I booked a first, flight to go to where they had a lounge. And I said, hey, babe, we're going to do an all day date. We're just going to fly and date and go to the Centurion Lounge. So we end up having breakfast at one airport, lunch at one, dinner at another one, right? And it was a great experience. And that experience is everything. So here's the deal. When we talk about financial freedom, y'all, we're not talking about, oh, I got $1 million in my account and I'm free. No, we're talking about the freedom to be able to make decisions and not have to base them on if I can afford it. Right. Hey, if I want to fly first class, I don't want it to have to be like, oh, I don't know if I can afford it. No, I know I can afford it because I've done the things in order to be able to afford this. My actions aren't in alignment for me to have these experiences. And after I have these elevated experience, that is not my new normal. That is not my new expectation. And that is how I roll. Right. So when we fly, the kids know, like, hey, I was even a CFO of dental practice, right? We were flying in from, where were we flying in from? I don't know, someplace out west, I think it was, or no, we was flying in from Denver. And we hit an airport that had a lounge. I got the entire staff up there and they were like, so I was like, y'all relax. Everything up here is complimentary. The entire bar and the food. So it took them a second to get comfortable. And then it's like, oh, well, let me go get another drink. Hey, let me go get some more food. And then they started to relax. And now traveling is not horrendous. It's actually enjoyable. Man, your life travel, how you travel through life should be enjoyable. It shouldn't be cramped with your knees hurting and I'll just tough through it because I can get no, you should enjoy it, right? And everybody enjoys at a different level. And that's totally fine too, right? So I fly first class, right? I have mentors who fly private jets and don't wait at all. So they're probably looking at me like, dude, you got to get out of flying commercial first class and get you a private jet. We're going to work on that, right? I haven't flown in a private jet yet. But when I do, it's going to set another expectation. I've already priced how much it costs to, get a share of a private jet. So that's already on my radar, right? It's already on my radar. And after I get that experience that one time, it now sets a new expectation. It creates a new normal. Now, what falls into alignment is now my actions are going to align with that. And everybody's totally different. You might not want to fly in a private jet, and that's totally fine. I'm not tripping, right? Your financial freedom and your pathway to freedom is your pathway to freedom. But are you in alignment? And are you limiting yourself because you refuse to pay for access? Because, oh, that's something I can't afford. Or, no, I will never pay for that. Stay with me here. Another example. Had the opportunity to take my kids to, I think it was a year or two. We took them to the WNBA finals and it was in New York City. So first time in New York City, right? First time in New York City, first time to a WNBA game, and we're in the finals. And the New York, Liberty, they're playing the team, right? And I look up, we have a separate entrance for American Express card holders. I said, oh, this is cool. Oh, there was actually a separate concession stand. So while everybody else is in one concession stand in line, we had a whole concession unit where literally somebody's there say, yeah, welcome, sir. You know what I'm saying? I presented my card. They said, hey, go and get what you want. I went in, grabbed some burgers, man, hey, y'all come in, what y'all want, right? And when I walked out, I didn't even check out. It just scanned my card and I kept on going. Then I think it was at halftime. I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm about to go get a drink. I went up there and it was actually a dedicated section for card holders where I got a complimentary drink. I said, hold on, this is wild. Like when I paid for this access, this VIP access, I didn't even think it was going to actually allow me to get into the game quicker. Didn't think it was going to give me my own access to my own concessions and food and things of that nature. Fresh food, fresh bread. I'm like, this is crazy. Guess what? That's my children's new normal. Guess what? That's our family's new normal, right? So now I do the things to make sure that my actions are in alignment with my new normal. But sometimes you have to step out and experience something new, hence VIP access. All right, stay with me here, y'all. Stay with me here. So here's the deal, y'all. I went and I stopped paying because well, I was going to say I don't pay for bottles anymore, but I do not believe in standing in lines. I do not believe in pedestrian type lifestyle. If there's a way to get into someplace quicker, I typically pay. My family knows dad hates waiting in lines because if I'm waiting in line, that means I'm not doing something that I could be doing, right? I would rather be enjoying myself versus waiting in line. So I'm always looking for a way to cut the line legally, right? I'm always looking for a way to get a better experience. So though I'm not in the clubs anymore, happily married, I'm a dad now, things of that nature, right? Um, I don't pay to get in. I don't pay for bottle service anymore unless something comes up because I will pay because again I'm not going to wait in line. But where now pay for VIP is I pay VIP for coaching. True story. Had this one coach I was working with, and I said, "Hey man, I want to get a better understanding of how to set this particular system up so that we can automate it. Want to get it on your calendar, right?" And he said, "Yeah, man, we can do that. It's $1,000 an hour." I said, "Well, how many hours you think it's gonna take, bro?" He's like, "Oh, 2 or 3." I said, "Okay, cool. Send me the link." So I paid $1,000 an hour for just to sit on a Zoom and watch how he had his back end operation set up. Now, somebody else would look at that and be like, "I'm not paying that." I did because I think I spent 2 hours with him. So I paid $2,000 and I was immediately able to implement the system that I watched him do. So I was able to look over his shoulder, see exactly what he was doing, right? Oh, this is how you set this up. So why do you do that? I was able to watch, I was able to ask questions, I was able to get clarity, and then I immediately went implemented. That 2 hours $2,000 investment turned into another $100,000 in income because I took that system, I took it to my guy and said, "Hey, this is how we need to set up this automation here on the back end." And it worked like a charm. So I consider that the equivalent to paying VIP. I cut the line. No, I don't want to sit in the nosebleeds and hear about it. I actually want to be next to you. I want to ask clarifying questions so that I'm clear on what I need to do so that I can have a similar result. So I shadowed a multi-millionaire and paid $1,000 an hour for a couple hours of their time so that I could be in the room. That's the same thing as popping bottles. Matter of fact, it's a better investment, right? And here, and I'm gonna call some people out real quick. I'm not gonna call you out by name, but I'm on social media. I see you, right? So we have a 5-day financial freedom boot camp. We believe this is the most transformational financial boot camp in the country, right? I may be biased, right? I've been in some other boot camps that have been wildly valuable, but our boot camp, I've literally had people give us testimonial videos crying because they had a mental shift. They had a paradigm shift. They went from a feeling of scarcity to to believing in abundance. They believe that they not only can become millionaires and multimillionaires, but they now understand why they deserve to be. Because we're not trying to help people become millionaires just so they can flex and pop bottles. We're helping people become millionaires so that they can actually do what's planted on their hearts to do and have the time freedom to be able to do those things, right? So our five-day financial freedom boot camp is amazing. Link, you'll be able to find a link somewhere on the video, right? If you want to look at it. But we have general admission, which is typically $97. I think for the month of January, we are waiving the tuition for the $97 for the general admission. And our VIP is $297. Do you know? And with the $297, let me tell you what you get. You get to sit in a room with me for an hour a day for 5 days and ask any question you have about finance, entrepreneurship, taxes, real estate, anything in the financial realm for 5 days, full hour. And if you got a lot of questions, you can ask as many as you want. No limit on how many questions you can ask for $297. And do you know I have people say, I can't afford that? But I see them jet setting. I see them traveling state to state. I see them traveling in other countries, right? I see them spending way more than $297 for access to parties and experiences and resorts and things of that nature. But they don't spend or invest $297 to be in a room to learn the things that they didn't learn in school, to learn the things that they didn't learn in college, to learn how to create financial freedom and really know how to create generational wealth, right? Or to be able to milk the brain of someone who has been in the business 20 plus years and ask them any question they have, where they could walk out of that 5 day, 1 hour VIP sessions with complete clarity on the next steps they need to take to become financially free. But they'll say, man, I can't afford that. Man, if you can't afford $297 to get the education that you never got in college, where you may have paid tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, then you don't understand return on investment. You don't understand that you are the most valuable asset. You have to pay and invest in yourself. And the best way to do that is to use the lessons I'm sharing with you from when I used to pop bottles. And I didn't pop one bottle, double fisted with my bottles, right? Use that same mentality, but now change it from popping bottles to get into the club to popping bottles to getting into the cash flow club. Popping, spending money to travel to resorts. Versus, to spending money to learn how to write that resort off as a business expense and travel for free. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down, setting down, y'all family? Right? Let me check in real quick. Let me see what people talking about over here. I don't even know if people talking over here. What people talking about over here, right? So here's the deal, y'all. This is the takeaway. Yes, when I was young, I acted young. I wanted to, and it probably was a flex then, but as I think about it, it was never, hey, I'm going to pay the VIP because y'all can't afford it. That was never my mentality. Though I know some people probably thought they're like, oh, that dude, PGF 330, the movement, he arrogant, blah, blah, blah. He cutting people. You know what I'm saying? Why he ain't waiting in line with everybody else? Yo, there's probably some people saying the same things right now. Man, that dude, Perry, the financial strategist, he's arrogant. How dare he want to become work optional before he turns 50? How dare he leave corporate America and make his own schedule and make me feel bad because I can't? No, y'all, that was never my mentality. I just personally didn't want to spend my evening waiting in a line to get in, then waiting in a line to get drinks, and then being in a crowded space where I couldn't enjoy myself. It was worth it to me to skip the line. And that's what we call in our space condensing time frames. I have 20 plus years of experience managing wealth, creating wealth, retiring clients, retiring my wife before 40, at 40, right? I have 20 years of experience. I have 20 years of experience building a real estate portfolio of 25 doors and starting from scratch and rebuilding, starting to rebuild that. I have this experience, right? So you're paying to get the experience, to get the condensed time frames. I don't want you to have to go through 20 years of ups and downs and failures and things of that nature to get to your goal. But you have to pay access to get to the resource so that you can have the experience to then go out and reach your goals, family. So, I knew this was going to be a fun one. I know my daughter's in the other room probably watching because she's heard the stories about P. Jeff 330, right? Oh, dad cutting lines. My college friend, big shout out to my man Remy coming in town from Dayton. I'm on the stage. I got the mic in my hand. Like I was that deal. Mic in the hand, right? I'm not even I didn't even come with the DJ. I just got the mic in my hand, right? Mic in my hand, cutting the line. And I know there's some people like, man, he's arrogant, or man, but there were some people like, man, I wish I could move the way he's moving. And the deal is, y'all, we all can. We all deserve to be VIP. You just have to believe that you deserve to be VIP. And you're going to have to spend some time, energy, and money. So if you're willing to spend money to travel the country to experience a resort, then just change that thinking and say, okay, am I willing to spend money to learn how to travel and have that trip paid for? Am I willing to spend the money to get access, VIP access to learning how to become work optional and not have to work 20, 30, 40 years? We all got a decision to make, right? Because guess what you're going to do? You're going to spend the money. You're gonna spend the money on something. I guarantee we all do. We all spending money on something. Spend money on an experience that will get you closer to your goals. All right, family. That's all I got for this training. Be sure to tap in into the next video.